Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. The podcast designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. With me today is Zoe Lewis, and she owns Podiatry Medic in Queenstown, New Zealand. But she is originally from the UK and spent a number of years in glorious Australia. So, Zoe, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on and inviting me on. I'm very honored.
Thank you for saying yes. I've had a few people, not many. I've had a couple of people where I invite them on the podcast and they have said no. And I'm like, really? Oh, it hurt my feelings. So, but no, it doesn't happen very often. Or most people are a little bit, oh, why me? Why do you want me on? And there's usually a reason. Every guest I have on, there's usually a reason I want them on, which we will get to. But before we get there, a bit of the Zoe story. How did you end up in podiatry?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I did everything kind of a different way around in my life, I think. I had a child unexpectedly quite young. And fortunately, it made me sort of buck my ideas up and decide to embark on a career and be sensible and responsible and be a role model to my daughter and be self-sufficient. And so I was really interested in the medical profession, and really I wanted to study medicine, but it just wasn't possible with a baby to be a single mum studying medicine full-time. And I wanted to raise her. I was living in Spain at the time, but I wanted to raise her in a really great country, an outdoorsy country with great culture. And so I chose Australia. And when I looked at all of the degree paths I could go down, medicine, podiatry was probably the second best for me, apart from medicine. And the fact that you can be self-employed, you can work 9 to 5 around your family and your kids. It's so varied. It's very interesting. And there's, the pathway that I'm on right now, which was originally what I wanted to do from the very start, which is end up going down the surgical route, was always very appealing to me. So yes, it seemed like the most obvious choice to go into. Also, my brother's a diabetic, so I grew up with him with diabetes, so I'm fully aware of all the complications associated with that. And if I can help people like my brother, I will. So
okay. So when you were younger, you're saying you're a bit of a wild child. So you've had a baby younger. So you reckon if you hadn't had the baby so young, you would have just been a bit more of a lunatic longer?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree. I don't know, but I always say the same thing. I got married fairly young. I was 26 when I got married the first time, and I often say that if I hadn't got married that young, I'd probably be dead now.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed life a little bit too much. So, and I had a friend, a very close friend, who also enjoyed life a lot, and he was dead at 42. So I think I made some wise choices.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my dad. I mean, I was, very fortunate growing up in England to have an amazing education. I went to a really great boarding school, and I got into a business school in London, which my dad was very proud of, but I just wasn't of the mindset, because back then for my A-levels, I studied law, business, fine art and photography, nothing medical related at all, which is probably why I had like no passion in any of those things. I was quite interested in business and a little bit in law, but not so much. But I got into university in London, and then I kind of just pulled out and said to my dad, this isn't really what I want to do. And he said to me, well, looks like you're going to go to the University of Life then.
Which is always a good university as well.
Yeah. And look, my dad never went to university, but he's a self-made man and a very successful businessman and very respected in the UK for what he's done. And so I think that he kind of understood that it's not necessarily always the right path for people. You have to kind of follow your own thing. And then I just went a bit wayward. But then I got back on the right track.
but then you saw the light. So when you got to Australia and you chose, was there a reason why you chose Newcastle University to study?
No, basically I just took a really big risk and calculated risk, I'd say. I applied to a heap of universities across Australia, including Tasmania, and had a look at all of the podiatry programs. I went over to Western Australia to have a look at their university. And I basically said, whoever comes back to me with the first offer is what I'm going to take and where I'm going to live. Because I sort of thought, well, that's what's meant to be. And the University of Newcastle came back straight away with an offer. And so I took that, but I did have to do a year's international foundation in sort of advanced chemistry, biology. So I went through with a lot of international students who were getting into medicine. So that was quite helpful.
Okay. So what year did you graduate?
I think it was 2016.
Okay. And how old were you then when you graduated?
Oh God.
I know. See, this is where you need your maths now.
I know.
Who said you wouldn't use it?
I know. Who said? How old was I when I graduated? Oh, I was like 31, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
By the time I got my certification and everything through, 31, 32. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you've been out, this is 6 years now, 2022. So did you get a job working for somebody else first up, or did you go and work for yourself straight away?
No, I was doing a placement actually at the end of my degree, as you have to, and it was a private placement, and the gentleman asked me to fill in for him whilst he was going on his honeymoon and see all of his patients. And so he took me around and introduced me to everybody. And I kind of just saw a really big opportunity to offer a better service, I guess, than what I was seeing and being exposed to. And I sort of thought that I was a little bit disappointed in kind of what I was seeing out in the real world, especially with geriatric care and home visits and things, that it was literally, I called them cut and run. That's basically what people would do if they weren't really doing sort of your vascular assessments and checking blood flow and just checking someone's risk factor or picking up on medication contraindications or and so I was just keen to kind of explore that. And so I immediately set up my own business because I thought, well, I can do this. Why not?
That's a really, really good point, because there's been a lot of talk lately about people, having jobs somewhere and not really being happy with the job and not really happy with the position that they've got. So I suppose as a new graduate, you're working somewhere and all of a sudden you're going, wow, how they're running things. I like that cut and run.
Yeah.
They're really not in depth as much as what you would want to do. So, well, if that's how they're doing it and you think you can do it better, why not have your own practice? Yeah,
basically. And also I just was a little bit disappointed. I'd studied for 5 years, a medical-based degree where, the first 2 years of our education is basically the same as medicine.
Yeah.
Exactly the same subjects. And, we're taught so much, and then to kind of not use that knowledge is a little bit insulting to the profession, I think, and it doesn't do our profession favors. And when people think of a podiatrist, it's not really, it's not really giving them the greatest impression, because a lot of people don't even actually understand what we do, or how complex our role can be and how many people we help and for what reasons. And so, I just, I believe in doing a good job and being thorough. And that's why we're in this profession. It's a medical-based profession. It's a complex structure of the body, and many things go wrong with it. And it's our job to find those things out. We're not glorified beauticians. So
it's funny. It's funny when I've had people say to me, oh, my patients treat me like I'm a hairdresser, or they treat me like they're a beautician. I go, well, if you act the same way, then you could expect them to treat you the same way. So if somebody comes in and all you do is clip their toenails, and all you do is something that doesn't take a lot of thought process, then they're going to treat you. And if you're answering your own phone and making your own appointments and doing everything else, then they're going to think, well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
So it really is. It's using that, like you said, we're all taught some very technical stuff at university. So we should be applying that with every one of our patients whenever we can.
Yeah. Oh, look, I don't think that, as a medical professional, when you go into an industry, whether it's dentistry or podiatry, and you're given that title of doctor, it's not given to you just willy-nilly. It's like it's a profession that's well respected, and I just think that you don't really want to let that profession down, and people's perception of that. It's always quite interesting, actually, when I go for dinner with people and they ask me, what do you do? And a lot of the time the women recoil when I say, oh, podiatry, and they say, oh, what's that? And I'm like, oh, a foot doctor. And they're like, oh, that's just so disgusting, and that's just and I sit there and I kind of go, I used to just sit back and feel a little bit sort of embarrassed about what people perceive my job to be, but now I'm kind of quite outspoken, and I ask them questions and I say, well, what's so disgusting about one of the most complex parts of the human body that, I'd like to see you get up from the table now and go to the bathroom without your feet. There's so many disease processes that affect your feet, and they're a remarkable structure that we can't really live without. You think of all the professional sports people. I don't think that they'd be around if it wasn't for their feet as well. They need those.
And the thing is, it's funny when people think of podiatry and they go, oh, that's disgusting. And thinking there's a lot more jobs that I think are far more disgusting than podiatry. I don't think podiatry is disgusting at all. I was with I'll tell you this funny story. I was with my brother, who's a dentist, and our friend Nipples, who was a gynecologist, and that was his nickname. So it wasn't his surname. So anyway, we're there one night and we're out, and we were talking to a couple of girls, and they said, oh, what do you do? I said, I'm a podiatrist. Bang, one of them kicks his shoe off and says, look at this pain in my ankle here. And I went, oh, right, okay, we're chatting away. Then they said to my brother, what do you do? So I'm a dentist. And the girl says, oh, I get this like clicky jaw every now and then. My brother went, okay. And they said, so Nipples, what do you do? And he says, oh, I'm a gynecologist. It's just silence.
Yeah.
And he goes, so? And then no questions. And they've just, and it was a conversation stopper.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, I would rather look at feet.
100%. I would rather look at feet, and also with the rate of STDs in the world, I definitely don't think that I'd really want to be a gynecologist right now.
Oh no! I just, it would be terrible. It would just be, I don't know. Someone has to do it. Proctology, I reckon, would be just as bad.
Yeah. I'm still like, I'm massively respectful of all of these industries. I think that they're absolutely amazing. And
definitely.
If you had the opportunity to go down them, I think that it would be phenomenal. And I'm super interested in all aspects of medicine, specifically vascular and cardiovascular and things like that. I just think quite amazing.
You've had a bit of an interest though in the whole surgical side of podiatry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was rewarded actually during my placement at one of the public hospitals in my degree, because I basically worked my ass off and really enjoyed what I was doing, and they actually let me manage the clinic there for a few days as a student, which was quite an incredible honor. And then they sort of rewarded me and said, well, would you like to go into theatre with one of the surgeons and help assist in 2 lower limb amputations? And of course, I was like, absolutely. And we'd been doing sort of minor surgical procedures all week, sort of with that ultrasonic debrider, which is I don't know if you've used one of those, but they're pretty cool. We had some quite severe ulcers and burns victims, and I was definitely in the surgical mood in that public place. It was definitely my place to be. And I just remember, there's something about being in that environment. It's a very controlled, clean environment, and you work as a team, and it's very efficient, and everything, I think, I mean, everything, even the smallest thing, from the smell of the theatre is something that kind of like, excites me. And it's just
the smell of the operating theatre.
Yeah,
I wish it smelled. I've gone into a few. I wish it smelled like muffins. I would rather it smell like muffins walking in there.
Oh, really? It smells clean. I like it. It's very clean.
It smells of death.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, it's a place where you can do amazing things. But yeah, so and I watched a complete revascularization, one gentleman, and then watched a below-knee amputation, then assisted on the last one. And I've never felt a high quite like that in my life. I mean, when my parents were actually over staying with me in Australia, and I came home that night and literally couldn't sleep. I was just so excited. I couldn't stop talking about my amazing day in theatre and how inspired and how, I just never, apart from having my daughter, I've never really felt that kind of feeling for anything before.
But that's good though. It's good that you saw that and you got really passionate about that. Because myself, surgery has never really interested me. Well, probably it did when I was younger, it did.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I went, no. Like I said, I'd rather the room smell like muffins.
Yeah.
I just don't like the feel inside a surgical room. Just don't like it.
I think you either love it or you hate it. It's not, it doesn't make me anxious. I'm so excited to go to work.
No, but what's good is that you found that. So is that's a path that you're going to travel down, is to become a podiatric surgeon? That's the plan?
Yeah, that's the plan. Well, it kind of always has been the plan. Ever since I embarked on the degree, I knew that the University in Perth offered a surgical program, which I was very keen on, and which I'm still keen on. I have not ruled that out, but I'm living in Queenstown at the moment. And then the Australasian College of Podiatric Surgeons offers fellowship in foot and ankle surgery.
Yeah.
And so at the moment, in Australia, I did start my scheduled medicines license, and then got a bit misled in my personal life.
We'll touch on that later. We'll keep everyone in anticipation. Oh, what are you going to talk about?
Oh God, which happens in life, doesn't it? You get a bit.
You need a few curveballs.
Taken off track for a little bit. And so I didn't get to complete that, unfortunately. But look, I ended up in Queenstown, and now I'm doing my basic surgical skills training through the Australasian College of Podiatric Surgeons. And I'm working for the top, basically, in my opinion, he's the best orthopaedic surgeon in New Zealand. He's, the head of trauma at Orthopaedic Hospital. And when he comes down here, I'm his assistant, and he's teaching me and mentoring me, and he's very supportive of my pathway, and he's very, very passionate about what he does. He's very good at what he does. He's, to me, he's a surgical genius, and I respect him immensely. He's worked all over the world and trained registrars, and I just think that I've been given, it's like winning the lottery to me. It's the career lottery, really. I've been given the best opportunity I could ever have wished for, to be under his mentorship and be doing my course through the ACPS, and just be on that pathway, really. And I'm not in any rush to complete anything, because I'm kind of enjoying the pace of my life at the moment. But
are you working full time at the moment as well?
I've got my business, and it is full time to a certain extent. But every week's different with podiatry, as you know, and appointments. And I'm more focused on facilities at the moment than I am private patients. So, and that's very flexible. And I've got contracts at 4 or 5 facilities here across Queenstown and Cromwell.
Yeah.
Where I'm the sole podiatrist for them, and they're fairly decent facilities, and some are brand new. Each sort of have about 40 patients, and so that does keep me busy on a weekly basis. And then I have my daughter, and now I'm studying, and I'm doing surgical assisting as well. So it's all kind of juggling, and but yeah, I'm enjoying the pace. I'm not overwhelming myself like I did with my degree, put it that way.
Yeah, and I have heard some people, when they decide to go down that surgical path, that have almost killed themselves through the process of doing it, to the point of so many times wanting to just quit because it was too much and it was too overwhelming, where it looks like you're really balancing, thinking, okay, I don't mind if it takes longer to do it, but you're going to enjoy the process as you go through, and don't make it like an overwhelming experience.
No, I don't want to make it an overwhelming experience. And I don't think you enjoy things when you're overwhelmed. And I remember being, during my degree, which I was doing full time the first few years. And that was just absolutely exhausting, because I was raising a 2.5-year-old in Australia with no family, no friends, no support. I was, up at 5 every day. My daughter would be at daycare at 6 a.m. I don't know if you're aware, but as international students, you have an obligation to attend every single lecture and every single tutorial. And if you don't turn up without a doctor's letter, they can kick you off the course and you lose your visa.
Oh, right. No, I didn't know that.
So, and it's very expensive as well. So I think it's about $40,000 a year to study. So I'd made a commitment, and I had to honor that and stick to it and do it right. And it was, it was overwhelming trying to be a mum. And, I mean, was there
a reason you didn't do podiatry in the UK? Do the study over there?
Yeah, look, I'd given up on the UK when I was in my late teens. I'd kind of had enough. I was never.
You weren't a fan of grey skies?
No, it's like suicide grey is what we call it. It's not. Yeah, it's not amazing weather over there. And
I've only been once. I've only been in the UK once, and I think the day I arrived, it wasn't too bad, and then it was just drizzly rain the rest of the time. But I still really enjoyed it. It was I was only in Liverpool, and but I really enjoyed the place, but it did have slightly grey feeling.
Yeah, it's look, it's a beautiful. When I grew up, it was a little bit different to what it is now. And I grew up in the countryside of Hertfordshire and had a wonderful upbringing. Couldn't have asked for a better upbringing, really, on farms with horses and all sorts of things like that. But then you kind of get a bit older and you go, okay, so what's out there and what appeals to me? And the weather certainly wasn't one of the things that I loved. And I didn't really enjoy. I lived in the city for a while, didn't really enjoy that. There wasn't really much going on in the countryside for me. I just didn't feel like I was happy there, And but I mean, none of my family are. My sister lives in the US and has done for the past 15 years. My brother and parents both live in Spain. So I don't really have any family there. So there's not really.
So everybody left.
Any point in living there. Even my best friend lives in Australia. She lives in Bondi and she moved before me. So, there wasn't really anything holding me there. And I have no intention of going back.
No. I sort of picked that up. I didn't need to tell me that. I know you're not going to go back there.
No.
So you're in Australia, you're there for a number of years, you've got your clinic going, business is fine. And then you've packed up and now you're in Queenstown, I've been to Queenstown, and it was absolutely spectacular weather. I don't think there was a cloud in the sky the whole time we were there. Freezing cold, but gorgeous city, absolutely gorgeous place.
Yeah. Oh, it's every day just driving my daughter to school is just a phenomenal experience. I mean, the mountains that surround you here are just stunning, and it doesn't matter what the weather is, and there's so much to do. And I was never somebody that was into walking or hiking trails or anything like that, especially in Australia with all your spiders and snakes. No thanks.
There's no spiders or snakes. They run away. They're more afraid of you than you are of them.
Yeah. But here, it's just amazing. And I find, most days that's kind of my downtime. If I'm not at the gym, I'll be on a walk somewhere with my dog, just smelling roses of how beautiful this place is. And
can you ever swim in the water there at Queenstown? Because we were there, it was August, it was really cold for me.
Yeah.
And so I took my shoes off to go for a walk through the water, and it was so cold. And I'm thinking, I don't think this water would ever get warm enough to swim in.
Yeah, it does. So my daughter just spent, which is another reason why we love Queenstown. I mean, she fell in love with the place as well, because winter she's up the mountain snowboarding and I can't get her down. And in the summer, she's out on the lake every single day swimming after school.
Yeah, so, it's a nice place.
So it's amazing. You know, they take their swimmers and then they leave school and they all go and hang out at the lake, and they have a phenomenal time growing up, winter or summer. It's the weather here is now a little bit a bit average. We're in autumn here, and it's raining and it's cold and it's not that pleasant, but the colors are amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen the colors of the trees in autumn in Queenstown.
No, well, I was only there in August and everything was just absolutely picture perfect the whole time. Yeah. And the food was fantastic. And there was a really good rum bar there. Yeah. And it was just, it was a really good experience. It's been one of those things I thought I've got to go back there. I'm not really into skiing because I'm hopeless at it. I can ski. I just can't stop. That's my problem. Stopping is really hard, which is a requirement.
I don't got the mountain. I can't. I'm not allowed because I've had like spinal surgery, so that's like no go for me. But it doesn't stop me from enjoying Queenstown. Yeah, and drinking a nice glass of red wine in a bar by a fireplace whilst my daughter's up. That's fine. That's okay. I can live with that.
Yeah, well, I like being in the snow, like snowmobiles, walking around in the snow. All that's great, but to actually skiing and that, I'll try it again one day, I'm sure. So what I want to ask is, so you're a wild child. We figured that out. Ended up getting to Australia, doing podiatry, having your own business there. Why the switch to Queenstown? Do you want to talk about that? Why you moved?
Yeah, sure. There's nothing that I'm sort of embarrassed about. Look, I met somebody and got a bit swept off my feet thinking that they were the one for me, that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And you know, initially they were very, very supportive of my career. They knew exactly what I wanted to do with my career. You know, I had it all over my vision board when they met, you know, all my applications for surgery, and there were other medical courses and applications to medicine that I was interested in. And very supportive of that, to the point that used to say,
which is what you need for your career. If you want to grow your career and develop it over a period of time, you need to have somebody that's going to support you along that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of thought that I'd found that, especially when every day they'd say to me, be careful of those hands, they're surgeons' hands, you know, and all this kind of thing. But then when it actually came to it, I realized I'd made a mistake when it was perhaps a bit too late on the plane. And
on the plane over.
Once I'd actually packed up my life and, you know, got rid of ponies and dogs and cars and all that sort of stuff. But I was kind of in it, so stuck with it. And then we weren't actually supposed to stay in Queenstown. We were only supposed to be here for 6 months, and I'd never been here before. I had no idea what to expect. I actually didn't want to come here because all I heard was that it was cold, and I'm not somebody that particularly loves the cold, which is another reason why I left England. So I really wasn't thrilled with coming here, but he had a place here, and he wanted to be here for 6 months. And then we were going to Singapore, which appealed to me because it's much better weather, right? And good shopping.
Oh, Singapore's nice, yeah.
Yeah. So I applied for a job at the National University Hospital in Singapore and got offered a role there, and was due to start in, I think it was like April 2020. But then COVID hit.
Bloody COVID.
Bloody COVID.
Every time I hear COVID now, I just go, bloody COVID. Yes.
But for me, in the most selfish way possible, which probably sounds absolutely dreadful to a lot of people who have, you know, had very bad experiences with COVID, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me and my daughter.
Yeah.
Because by that point, I'd fallen in love with Queenstown, did not want to leave and go to Singapore.
So that made the decision for you. You could say to the Singapore people, I really, really wanted to go, but bloody COVID.
Bloody COVID. I couldn't go. Like because we got put into lockdown. So our flights were cancelled back to Australia. Yeah. My parents had already rung me from Spain and told me everything that was going on there, you know, and it sounded horrific.
Have you had COVID yet, by the way?
Yes, I have. It was not
how'd you go with it? I had it a few weeks ago.
Really?
I had no problems at all. Breezed through it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wouldn't have known. If I hadn't known there was a thing called COVID,
yeah,
I would have thought I had the weakest man flu ever. I've had man flu
okay.
About 9 months before that. Tell you, 50 times worse than COVID. For me, it was anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I didn't. I had a bit of a rough time with it. I ended up with like a chest infection from it, and I've still been suffering a little bit with the fatigue and sore throat and just feeling a little bit congested since. Kind of just struggling to sort of get rid of it, but I'm quite determined that I'll get over it. So yeah, not the worst thing in the world, but
okay. So bloody COVID kept you in.
Bloody COVID
kept you. That kept you in Queenstown.
Yeah, kept me in Queenstown, and
with the one.
No, yeah, not the one.
No, but he kept you with at the time though. It kept you with the guy who was the one.
Yeah. And look, things weren't too bad at that point because I mean, it's you can kind of make things work when you want to make things work, and yeah, I guess we just used the opportunity to just have a really good time in that lockdown and just party. And so when you're just partying with someone, you tend to get along, right?
Yeah, true.
So we spent basically the entire time having a really good party. And so everything was really good. And then I started to get like a bit bored, and I didn't really know what to do. So I started applying for jobs, and one of them was actually for the surgeon. And because I didn't know whether we were staying here, I didn't really know what we were doing. I didn't see podiatry as being a lucrative industry here for me because there's no government funding. Yeah. So I thought it would be really difficult to set something up. I knew there was already like a podiatrist in town. We're a small population. I was apprehensive about doing something here, especially with just how, I was with this person who was very much, we're living here, we're doing this, we're doing that. I kind of was unable to make sort of solid decisions for myself in regards
what was their occupation, by the way?
I'd say semi-retired alcoholic.
Oh, you just described me. Oh, geez, I'll cut that out of the audio. Oh, wait, leave it in. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. Yeah.
No. But basically, no. Their time here was spent sort of not doing all that much, sort of farm stuff, basically.
Yeah.
So I applied for this job, not really knowing, and I was really impressed by the CV of this surgeon. I just thought he was amazing, and I thought I'd love to, in whatever capacity, whilst I'm here, be working for someone like that. Unfortunately, I didn't get the job. I got down to like the last two. I think it was because I didn't know the software. But we stayed in touch and referred people to each other, I guess, and that was really good. And then I set up my business because I was like, well, I kind of want to stay here. What am I going to do? Like, I'm not going to go and work for somebody else again. I mean, I've got this degree. I did it in Australia. I'll do my best to make it work here. And yeah, I've been really lucky, actually. I've been offered a lot of facilities and a lot of word of mouth. And it's happened really quickly in a way, but not like Australia. I think I got too overwhelmed in Australia. I was working ridiculous hours in Australia and was pretty burnt out. So this way I'm quite enjoying the facilities side of things, just being in one place for the day rather than doing 200 Ks, chasing the dollar, So that's quite good. And then, I was having a whinge about the healthcare system here because I love this place and I've fallen in love with it and I want to stay here and raise my daughter here. And I think it's amazing. And the only thing that lets Queenstown down is that we have really bad healthcare system.
Okay.
And nothing really makes sense to me here in regards to the fact that, we're sending blood tests 4 hours away to be processed, 2 or 3 times a day at a massive cost when we should really be processing them here. and we don't have a trauma hospital, even though we're an extreme sports capital of the world.
Yeah, I was just thinking that there'd probably be a few injuries occasionally.
Yeah. So, I mean, all you see is people in moon boots, right?
I must admit, I did notice that when we were there was a few people walking around with moon boots on.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be great for when I'm qualified as a surgeon, but
yeah, plenty of work.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was kind of having a whinge, and as I said, stayed in touch with this surgeon, and he knew my expression of interest in surgery and what I kind of wanted to do. I told him what my dream was, and and he started operating down here because we've just opened a private hospital, the Southern Cross here, and lots of surgeons are now flying down from Auckland and Christchurch to perform surgery, and he didn't have a surgical assistant, and so he said that I'll do my training, and he'll mentor me, and did I want the role? And of course, won the career lottery, right? So
yeah,
yeah.
No, that's good. So I take it, like, now that you're set in Queenstown, that's where you're going to stay. And the reason for going over there was because the guy that you met, who you thought was the one, you're giving him the flick.
Yeah.
So you just got rid of him.
Back in November, December.
Yeah. So did you feel he was trying to hold you back in what you were trying to do with your career?
Yeah, 100%. Just not supportive at all. When I had applied for medical-based courses and things, there was a lot of resistance and a lot of, no, you're not doing that, and no, I'm not funding that, and no, I'm not supporting that. And the only thing that he was supportive of me studying or doing was law. So I studied postgrad law for about a year, and just had no interest or passion in it whatsoever. And so that was a mistake, but I learned a fair bit in law, so that was quite good. But nothing, no support of what my interests were in life, and I think it's really important to be with somebody who can support that side of you and your passion, because that's what kind of fulfills you and brings you excitement.
I think that's a good point for anyone listening to this. And I'm not saying everyone go and leave your partner if they're not supportive, but I've had podiatrists that had worked with me in Cairns, and they may have been, they were absolutely loving it, just absolutely loving being in Cairns, having a good time. And they may be making 2 or 3 times more than what their partner was. And the partner's going, I don't like it up here, I'm leaving. And the partner will get up and just pack up and move back down south. And I'm saying to them, I go, oh, well, I'll help you find someone new. And they go, no. And the next thing, they're packing up and they're leaving, going, why are you leaving? Oh, because my husband, wife, whatever it is, doesn't want me to be up here anymore. They miss their family down south. And I'm like, I understand that. So, but it's just that they should really be supporting what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. And there wasn't really any excuse in my relationship not to support what I wanted to do. And certainly there was no struggle financially or anything like that either. And we can make some very decent money in our industry, especially if you go down the surgical route, and to have somebody to believe in you and to want to go down that route with you, there's going to be rewards at the end of it. And it's not an easy thing to do, and it takes a lot of hard work, and you kind of expect somebody that you're with would be proud of that and support that, and be proud of you as a partner for wanting to do that and not just sit at home or go shopping, especially being a woman. That's kind of, isn't that kind of what all you guys want? Like, to be proud of someone? I mean, I know that for me in a relationship, what I've learned over the years is I really need to be with somebody that I'm proud of, that really teaches me things in life and works hard and inspires me. And I kind of think, well, wouldn't a guy want that in a woman too? Like, I just
want my wife to be happy, but so whatever she wanted to do that would make her happy. That's
exactly
what I sort of wanted. So if she wanted to start a new business or something, I would have supported 100%, because I'm thinking, plus I also look at it that if you've got children, especially if you've got a daughter, I think it's really important for daughters to see really strong female role models. That's just me. Because my mum is probably one of my biggest role models.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. My mum's amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah. So when I don't see that, or when I see a guy who's not lifting their partner up or their wife or any female in any area, I get the shits really fast.
Yeah.
Because I've had really strong female figures my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah. My mum is definitely an inspiration to me. She's incredibly strong. And what is it that they say? The man is the head of the house, but the woman turns the neck. That's definitely the case in my family. My dad is definitely, he's incredibly intelligent and successful and business minded. And but my mum's always been there to support him and kind of occasionally guide him a different way that's perhaps better than, they kind of work together very, very well.
You ever heard that song, The Man Song?
No, what's that?
There's a song called The Man Song, and it's really funny. And the guy sing it, but just one of the lines that he says, I can go out whenever I want, come home and sleep on the couch. My dad knew who wore the pants in the family. We knew who wore the pants in the family.
Like,
but they had a really good day. My parents had a really great relationship where it was just even. It was always just even.
Yeah.
There was no one was more dominant than the other, and they both would take turns at wearing the pants depending on what was happening.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not I don't need to wear the pants in a relationship. I just kind of want to do my own thing. And have someone support that, and I'm equally supportive back of what somebody wants to do. And I just think you've got to work as a team and a partnership in everything in life, and be positive and not negative, and just support people. And you know what, like sometimes things aren't going to work out and you're going to make mistakes, but that's life, isn't it? You got to take
pretty much
and try, and otherwise you don't really get very far. You just stay stagnant, and that's boring. And your life should be the greatest story ever told, I think. So why not have a crack?
Well, they always say people that say they've never made mistakes will lie about other things as well.
Yeah. You got it. You got mistakes. I've made plenty, so I'm all good.
I love how you smile with that. I've made plenty, and you're thinking back to all the mistakes you've made. So what's next day? So now Queenstown is going to be your home.
Yeah.
And you have said that if any podiatrist happens to be in Queenstown, to look you up for a coffee.
Yeah, sure.
And I went to a restaurant there. It was a fusion restaurant of Asian and Polynesian food.
Oh, nice.
And it was, I was there with a group of people. I said, I've organized dinner at this place. And they all just looked at me and went, what's it like? I said, I don't know. I said, the pictures look good. And I read some reviews and it looked great. And then went, Asian Polynesian fusion. How's it work? I said, I don't know. Anyway, it was one of the best nights we've had, because we were on a trip with some other people. So I invited two complete strangers, as you would, to a restaurant that you have no idea about. Yeah. And we all agreed at the end of the night it was one of the best meals we'd ever had. It was fantastic.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, the food here, that's another thing. The restaurants here are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you can go to amazing fine dining restaurants here. Some really very cool, fun bars.
Ice bar. You've got the ice bar there as well.
Yeah. Got lots of different kinds of bars and different age groups. And there's just so much to do. Like I said, it's the extreme sporting capital of the world. You want to go bungee jump, or you want to go jump out an airplane, or you want to go ski, or get up a helicopter, or go on one of these amazing walks. Golf. I mean, it's just endless here. It's absolutely
no snakes and there's no bears.
There's no snakes, no bears, and no spiders. Yeah. Well, there's little spiders, but they're not like the Aussie spiders, that scare the hell out of you. Or me, anyway. It's an amazing place to live. Like I'm so, every day I'm grateful to be here, and grateful for the fact that I've worked pretty hard to get to where I am in podiatry, and it isn't easy setting up your own business and running your own business and working for yourself. It's kind of all consuming, and then trying to manage a life on the other side. But I'm incredibly grateful that I get that kind of flexibility around my daughter, and I'm doing what I love. So in a place that I love.
So that's the part that I take away from this conversation with you, is just, like you said, you've made mistakes. You've hooked up with the one who wasn't the one.
A few times.
A few times. So, and you've been guided down certain paths because of that. But in the end, you haven't lost track or focus on what it is that you really want to achieve. And I love how you've just slowed the pace down and thinking, you know what, I'm going to enjoy the ride. I'm not in any rush to actually get there, which I think is great.
No, I think that you have to, if you're really passionate about something, it's not the destination. It really is the journey. It's about enjoying every minute of it, because I think also you learn a lot more. And you learn a lot more about yourself, and you get to like smell the roses, I guess. You get to enjoy it. You get to enjoy what you're learning and what you're doing without the rush or the pressure. I mean, my daughter said to me the other day, oh, but Mum, you know, you're going to be in your early 40s by the time you've finished your studies. And I was like, well, I'm going to be in my early 40s anyway. True. I might as well do something that I love and or at least be on the pathway doing something that I enjoy and love. You know, and I'm happy to do that part-time, and I'm happy to take my time. And even if I get there in 10 years, because something happens over the next few years that kind of derails me for a little bit, for whatever reason, good or bad.
I know. I'll keep an eye out to see what you end up doing.
Yeah. The next chapter of life. But that's okay. You know, as long as I'm still doing it in some capacity, and I'm still kind of chipping away at my passion, I'll just be really happy. So, because I found what I want to do, and what I enjoy in life, and what gives me great pleasure. So yeah, and I think it's an amazing profession that we're in. And I just think there's so many opportunities, and there's so many opportunities for women as well. If you really want something, you can make it work and go after it, and you don't have to rush. You don't have to commit to this full time. The great thing about our profession is that you can do part-time postgrad study.
Yeah,
around your kids, around your business, around your family. You can do it. It's possible. You just have to be disciplined and work hard and not burn yourself out, and learn when to, you know, go hard and then rest. That's kind of what I try and do.
There was someone I had on the podcast just recently. I cannot remember who it was, but the conversation was along the lines of, like how good podiatry is in its flexibility, that you can make good money, but you should also have interests outside of podiatry. Yeah. And just slow down a little bit more and just enjoy life.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake in my early 20s, probably up until my early 30s, where I just had these blinkers on, and I was just a man possessed with wanting to prove something to people. And then once I stopped doing that, all of a sudden everything just started falling into place. Yeah. And then I was enjoying podiatry more, and I was enjoying life more, and I was doing stuff outside of podiatry.
When did you write your book? What year was that? Because I remember reading that in my degree course. It was quite inspiring. When was
2014.
Yeah.
Almost 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Then I did the next one, 2017.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, it's like the first book, but everything with podiatry taken out of it.
Yeah.
Pumped with a few steroids and re-released. So it's slightly different. But the third one that I'm working on at the moment, which hopefully will be at the end of this year, is going to be different again. I've got two ideas that are going around in my head at the moment. So I'm sort of writing two things at once, which is very confusing. I don't recommend it.
And when you wrote that first book, where were you in your career? Had you slowed down a bit? Were you still the man possessed, or had you?
No, I'd slowed right down. I had one large clinic in Cairns. I had 3 other podiatrists working there. I was no longer seeing patients. I was just in the background, just managing things. Yeah. And life was fantastic. Yeah. And it was pretty much, and then it was 2 years after that I sold my clinic. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That the big corporate came along and offered me an obscene amount of money. Yeah. Nice. I said, my wife, what do I do? Should we sell? And she went, well, you've got all these other things that you want to do, which is like what I'm doing now with podcasting and writing and business mentoring. So it was ready for me. It was time for me to move away from the clinical side of things and move on to the next part. And I really love helping other podiatrists have great businesses. I get such a kick out of it. It's so much fun. Yeah. It's so
interesting. I think business is interesting in general. When I first graduated, I actually went and did like a 3 or 4 months small business management course privately, because I just wanted to know how to run my business best I could. Australian law and things like that, and business setup is very different to the UK, so I couldn't sort of just rely on ringing my dad and saying, hey, help me out here, so I did that, and I think business is incredibly interesting in what you can create, and there's lots of risk and reward, and a lot of complex thinking and planning, and I take my hat off to you. And your book was always quite inspirational to me. And then it's quite funny because I was at university and met your son. And I was like, oh, that's so funny, I'm reading your dad's book. Like,
I know, he used to tell me that. He go, every now and then people would see the name of the book and know his name and go, are you guys related? And you go, yeah, it's my dad. And they go, oh, right, okay. So I know when I wrote, the reason I wrote the book is so many years before that, I had this thing over here, the Telstra Business Awards, and we won that. But then after that, and then not long after that, I got contacted by the government. They said, oh, can you do a group of talks for us for these allied health people? I said, okay. So I did that. And I was sort of enjoying that side of things. And then I kept getting people asking me the same questions all the time, just about, oh, what do you do here? What do you do there? And I went, I should just write a book.
Yeah.
So I wrote a book and just put everything. It wasn't everything that I know in one book, because when I first wrote it, it was over 65,000 words I originally wrote, and I had to take out 20,000 words.
Wow, that's a lot.
So so the plan was always to write that book, and then I was going to do part 2, but then I never did part 2.
Oh,
so that's why I want to write another one, but it's sort of just different. Just different again.
Well, times have changed now too, and I kind of well, the great thing about our profession as well is that it's in the healthcare system, and we're not really too badly affected by a pandemic, because we're still a necessary provider of care, especially in high risk and things like that. So we can keep working and keep earning a living, and there's many businesses that haven't survived. So I think that we're very fortunate in that way, and we're very fortunate that we can work for ourselves and kind of make business work as well. So
I said that to my daughter. I said, have a look at all the professions that couldn't work during COVID, bloody COVID. And I said, they'll give you an idea what not to do when you finish grade 12. When you finish school, have a look at the industries that prospered, have a look at industries that didn't change, and ones that really just got decimated because of it. I said, and let's see if we give it, and those. But the funny part is, like, especially hospitality, were always industries that were up and then down and up. They're worse than the stock market. They're all over the place.
It's really sad, actually, because there's like quite a lot of institutions here, that have been institutions here in Queenstown for many, many years, that have now closed because they couldn't survive COVID. And that's been incredibly sad to watch, and lots of people have had to leave because they rely on their income from tourism and hospitality. So that's been sad, but as with all things in life, these things happen, and then innovation comes along, or you look at different industries to work in, and people end up on different pathways, or if you're like us, you become incredibly grateful for the path that you chose. Because it's kind of pandemic resistant, really, in a way. So
I think it's learning from it. It's really learning. I did see some podiatrists that did struggle, that really struggled through it, and a lot of them, it was the people that had pretty good businesses, but they really lived week to week. They didn't have good cash flow behind them. They hadn't planned out that, if this went wrong, what would happen? So they just kept thinking everything was always going to be great, and things aren't always great. So I hope some of those businesses learn that once they start making money again, is put some away for a rainy day, because the rain will come. If it's not a pandemic, it'll be something else.
It could be anything in your personal life. I mean, you just don't really know what.
You can follow the one to the wrong country.
Oh my God, you can. Give up everything, like your business, your life. it's all worked out very well, to be honest. I'm not complaining one bit. Look, and like I said, sometimes you make mistakes, but sometimes, one door closes, another one opens, and definitely one door closed on my life in a way, but kind of like an entire new world has kind of reopened for me, because I really wasn't happy in Australia.
Yeah.
I think that's another reason why I kind of probably made that decision with that person, was because I was burnt out from work. I wasn't enjoying where I was living. My daughter wasn't all that happy in the local school that she was in. I was feeling really overwhelmed. I'd been wanting to move for quite a while, and I guess that an opportunity arose, and I thought that I'd met somebody, and I thought that would be a good pathway and a good, change. And yes, I kind of just went down that road, and but I kind of always knew in a way, it's, you kind of make calculated risks, don't you? And podiatry is a great career, and I always knew I'd get a job somewhere and I'd land on my feet, and I always knew I can set up a business anywhere. So I was never really too concerned. I mean, that's why I studied so hard for 5 years, was to have the opportunity to have a career, a trade that's very niche, that's needed, required, is wherever you go, is recognized in most countries, and is a great profession where you can earn decent money. And if you don't go work for somebody, you can go set up your own business. You can work private, you can work public. It's just, there's so many opportunities. So I knew I'd be okay. I knew I'd land on my feet. I didn't think I'd land on my feet this well, like in respect that I'd be chasing this pathway again so fast. I thought it would take me a few more years to get here, but I think that being really focused and just putting yourself out there and just having a go is just, why not?
It just remind me, I thought about that, just what you said then. I think I might get some t-shirts done that says, "I have no fear, I'm a podiatrist." Yeah. Because what you were saying, I've said that to my wife and my parents and my brother. I said, I have no fear about wondering, financially, will I be okay in life? I said, I'm a podiatrist. Yeah. I said, there's always work. There's always work. Wherever you look, there's always an opportunity to either work for somebody else, because there's always people looking for help, or to go and do your own thing. So there we go. There could be a shirt. I have no fear. I'm a podiatrist.
Exactly. It's it's a really great industry. I'm really sad that that people view it in a derogatory way, I guess. That, again, maybe a bit naive, that they don't really understand what we do, or maybe they don't have the stomach for it. I watched the Gogglebox. Did you watch that? The Gogglebox?
Yeah. I saw that last night.
I laughed out loud.
I actually posted something on my Facebook page. Somebody had posted the video from that, so I posted on my Facebook page.
Oh, that's maybe where I saw it.
That section, and it was actually on TV last night, and we were. What was funny is the two podiatrists that were on there, Dr. Brad and Dr. Ebony, have both been on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I've had them both on, and they are super. How you see them on TV and how nice they seem, exactly like that in real life as well.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, that's really good. And that's good for the profession as well. But yeah, I watched it. I laughed out loud. And then I thought to myself, it's not really going to do the profession great.
No.
Things. It's not going. Somebody wrote on there, I don't see many enrollments at university now. And I kind of chuckled and went, no, definitely not. But look, I think you've got to be a different person to work in healthcare and have a stomach for the kind of stuff that we do. And look, it's, again, people are so anti-feet. I mean, I kind of don't really understand it. If you look after it, they're really just another body part that's
my daughter's anti-feet.
Yeah, I don't.
So why don't you do podiatry? She went, oh my God, no. She said, I couldn't stand looking at feet.
No,
because they're disgusting. And I went, no. I said, feet paid for this house. And she went, well, feet aren't going to pay for mine. I said, feet won't be.
No. Well, look, I guess each to their own, you either can do those jobs. I don't look at it. look at feet like that. To me, it's just a medical problem that I'm dealing with. And like with all things, I mean, you can work in dermatology and be dealing with some really disgusting cysts and boils that when you burst them, the purulence, disgusting. I mean, the smell would be just dire.
I don't like it when I open up a container that's got cauliflower in it. I don't like that. So my stomach's really weak.
Yeah, there's plenty of jobs that are really not pleasant. But in healthcare, I don't think. Look, I don't look at it like that. I look at it to help people, and I think that I help a lot of people. And it's nice to get people out of pain, and nice to deal with things that. Look, a lot of people don't want to deal with the stuff that we have to deal with. But it's just part of life, and someone's got to do it. And you might as well have someone that wants to do it and cares about their patient. Because I think that's going to make a really great health professional. There's no good having a doctor that isn't passionate about what they do and doesn't really want to help people. So look, again, I don't really understand, but then it is a niche profession, so I'm not going to push it on people. But
we don't want everyone in it.
No, exactly. Why it works for us, right? That there's too many. I did find that actually in Australia. I found that living north of Sydney, it was a very crowded, especially since that university kind of pumped out quite a lot of graduates, very, very competitive, and not very supportive because of the competition in the industry, and lots of conflict between podiatrists, really.
I had noticed that. Like when I finished in QUT in 1988, and the head of the department then was Alan Crackers Crawford. I don't know if you knew we called him Crackers, but anyway, Alan Crawford. And I remember him pulling me aside one day, and whether he remembers this conversation or not, but he said to me, when you graduate, he says, stop going where everybody else goes. They all want to stay in Southeast Queensland and where it's comfortable, and it's where their boyfriends and girlfriends are and their family, where they went to school. And he said, if you want to do well in podiatry, get out and go where nobody else wants to go. Go where there's no other podiatrists. Stop hanging around the capital cities. So, of course, I graduated and I hung around the capital city. I didn't listen to him at all. Then I was off of work for a couple of years because I hurt my hands. And when I decided I was going to work back, all of a sudden I remembered this conversation. And I went, okay, where am I going to go? So it's how I ended up in Cairns. So I came up here for a drive, all based on Alan Crawford actually saying to me, if I was going to set up a clinic, I would set one up in Cairns.
Wow.
And I went, okay, well, I'm going to do what he told me. It'd be the first time I ever listened to him. And so, and the rest is history. So it was, sometimes your lecturers can be smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, 100%. Damien Lafferty was my sort of hero of lectures at university. Kind of re-inspired me greatly during my degree. But again, that's surgery, so maybe that's just something that I love. But his passion for everything and his enthusiasm and guidance was always amazing. But I mean, like, I didn't think that podiatry would be a supportive business for me here in Queenstown. Like I said, there's only one other podiatrist, the population's small, but actually it's been, like you said, you go somewhere where there's not anybody. The great thing is that he's actually a sports podiatrist in town. So he does a lot of biomechanical and sports and ski boots and all that kind of stuff. And that's not the area that I'm interested in. I'm interested in high risk, geriatrics, surgery. So
the two of you could work together really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And he's got a clinic fully fitted out for biomechanics and all that sort of stuff. And so, look, if ever I have biomechanics patients, because I don't really take on that many private patients, I'm kind of like, look, go see Gareth, because that's his niche. My niche is the dermatology side of stuff. My niche is the really disgusting high risk, the geriatrics, the dementia care, the surgery side. That's what I'm good at. That's what I love. And
that's important. Find what you like in podiatry, niche down to that area and just run with it.
Yeah. Of course, I am going to have to definitely relearn a lot of my biomechanics training and all that stuff going forward. It's going to be interesting. but yeah, like I'm excited about that. And again, get to use it in a surgical way, not a sort of general podiatry way, which is.
No, that's okay. So yeah. Zoe, I want to thank you for coming on the Podiatry Legends podcast and sharing some of your ups and downs with the profession. And I hope this has inspired a few people to I don't know, I've learned heaps. I've learned heaps talking to you about what you've gone through over your career. It's been really interesting. And if I'm in Queenstown, I will definitely come in to see you, and we will have a coffee, or go back to that Asian Polynesian restaurant. It was fantastic.
Yeah, or there's like what's
the ice bar,
or there's just the lodge bar. Like there's just so many amazing places. Come hang out, and it's pretty cool here. Ski season soon, so and borders are open.
Yeah, so, yes, I know. So,
such a fun thing to say, but yeah, no, I'd love to touch base with other podiatrists and people in the industry, and I think we can always learn things from each other. I think we're forever learning, and that's the great thing about life, right? Be awesome to see some people.
Yeah, that'd be great. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, take care.